Hey, Insiders, I'm Emma Capotis.
And I'm Michael Julian.
Welcome to Festival Insider, a podcast for insiders by insiders. Today, we have an incredible interview lined up for you guys. I would say one of the most special stories that we're going to be sharing with you because it's a family legacy that goes back like 6 generations. So, MJ, do you want to do a quick intro to who our guest is today?
That's right. The Arnau family, very well known in the industry for being entertainers going back to, I think, 1870s, was a great grandfather starting to do exclusive shows in Spain, near Barcelona. Very excited to have Juanito with us. Everybody, or if you live on Earth, you should know what elro is. It's a immersive experience brand, creates shows and festivals all around the world. I think last year was something like 40 countries in all, over 200 shows. In America was a big Vegas residency. Honestly, in New York, all the shows sell out in advance now. The success of the brand really belongs to the experience part of it. The music is stellar. I'm not going to lie. There's never a bad lineup. So it's difficult to say it's not because of the artists, but in the same time, it's not. It's about the uplifting house music, meeting this Cirque du Soleil kind of experience with acrobats and steel workers and all kind of crazy decorations. But the key is that the family are fun. Mm-hmm. They constantly ball bust each other, and that kind of internal Arnau vibes that they have, and the smiles, always smiles, they integrate that into the show, and they truly seek to entertain people. And when you seek to entertain people and you bring the right music with it, you're good. And they've been organically growing, and then it got to a place where it just blew up globally. So I'm excited to have Juan here with us, tell the story himself, and let's hear it.
Yeah, with all that being said, please join us in welcoming Juan Arnau to the podcast.
How did this all begin?
Okay.
How did you get here, man? How did you get to this point?
So I am Juan Arnau. So I started elro 10 years ago, but the family history started in 1870. So I guess more than 140 years ago. We started, the family started the business back in the 1870. So I was like I was saying, 140 years ago, in a small village, which is Fraga, in the middle of nowhere. So it's like a really tiny town between Madrid and Barcelona, in the middle of the desert, of Monegros Desert, which has 12,000 people. And this is where everything started. So my great grandfather started. We have always been doing the same, which is basically entertaining people. And he started with my great grandmother, great grandmother, going from town to town in the region, selling wine and bringing cabaret girls on the squares of every town, just partying and selling alcohol. And this is how they started. And since then, basically what the family has been doing is trying to be always in the cutting edge and trying to be one step ahead of everyone else in the region to make sure we were the first one bringing something new into the market. So my family has been doing everything from, as I said, from cabaret shows to black and white movie theaters, because in the past that was like like a festival to us nowadays. And then at the beginning was mute without sound. Then it was like with proper sound. And we did in early, I would say, right before Civil War in 1936. We did the first salon. So it was like a proper space in Fraga for 2,000 people, open door. So people will come Sundays morning after church, and they will stay there, like singing and dancing with the local band from Fraga for 4 or 5 hours. And this is how everything started. And from there, from the first salon, we realized that this could be an industry. And so we opened a new cinema, another cinema. Then we did obviously the saloon got bigger. We did the first concerts, the first bands. Then it became the first proper, how do you say, discotheque? Because back in the days.
What year is this? When it's becoming a discotheque now? What year is this?
This is, I would say, in the 60s, 50s, 60s.
Right.
So the club evolved from a place where everyone was, like a dancing hall, with like a local band from Fraga, which had maybe 40 people on the stage, everyone playing its own instrument. From that moment into being a discotheque, having proper bands, pop, rock, and it's been amazing to see how my grandfather already was a visionary, because my father remembers already that when there was only 2 airports in Spain, in Madrid and Barcelona, he was already dreaming about going to Vegas and get the biggest performers in Vegas to play in Fraga, which was in the middle of nowhere. So he flew to Vegas to convince people, there, like amazing singers, to perform in Fraga before Madrid and Barcelona. So he used to overpay them to have the premiere in Fraga, and then once he was in Fraga, the artist would play in Madrid and Barcelona. But he was always paying more in order to have the exclusivity. So this was back in the 60s, Xavier Cugat, maybe if you can search on the internet, Xavier Cugat was a guy that probably is one of the first singers that started in Vegas. He was the guy that started in Fraga. He played from my grandfather. And in fact, when he played, the day before he played, the brother of my grandfather died, and he couldn't come to the concert because they had the funeral. So all my family was in the funeral, and he was playing for the first time in our club.
Wow.
So we have got many crazy stories like that.
Lots of history here. So is this a good time to kind of take a step back and say, okay, at what point does the Arnau family come into the dance music? Because this Monegros Festival, this Florida, this stuff before that. So is that your dad who turns the first step toward electronic?
As I said, Florida 135 is the club that my grandfather founded in 1942 after the Civil War. In this case, he decided to name the club Florida because his best friend had a movie theater in a town next to Fraga. And the name of the movie theater was California, and they were best friends. So he said, okay, I'm going to do the same, but I'm going to call it Florida. So awesome. He started Florida Club, which is a club for 4,000 people. So it's not a small club. Back in the days, in 1942. And he decided to do this. And so as I told you, like rock, pop, you name it, all the evolution of music. And there was one point, my father, when he was probably 22, 23 years old, he realized that he had to move from pop and rock and look for something else. And back in the days, I would say, I was born in 1982, okay? So probably when I was at the age of 7, 8, he got people coming from France to Fraga, partying, and they used to tell my father, he's like, Juan, there is a new sound coming from Valencia, which is a region in Spain, which sounds really weird because it's kind of electronic with samplers and things like that. And it's really funny because they have got DJs playing from Manchester, from the UK, from Hacienda, and this would ring a bell to my father, and he took a car and he drove 3 hours from Fraga to Valencia, and he realized there was a new sound. It was like that was the first electronic sound that we ever heard, which in Spain is a really famous name, which is La Ruta del Bacalao. Okay, this This means a lot to the Spanish people, but not to the rest of the world. But it was basically for a period of 4 or 5 years, there was like a scene in Valencia of maybe 10, 15 clubs opening every day of the week. Okay, and they had people from all over Europe playing this weird sound, which sounded like kind of cheesy electronic music. Obviously, now it sounds really cheesy, but let's say it was the first like Kraftwerk sound, like the first proper, electronic music that anyone was listening to. So my father drove to Valencia with my mom, and they realized that that was the future. So they convinced the DJs playing in all these clubs to start playing in Fraga. This was when I was 7, 8 years old, so probably early 90s. And he convinced them to be our resident DJs.
So this is in Florida, right?
It's Florida 135 only, okay? So for 4 or 5 years, we became the most important club in Spain because all these fans from Ruta del Bacalao were partying in Valencia, Zaragoza, Barcelona, and Basque Country. But every Saturday, they will go to our club to party like crazy for 12 hours. Okay, this is like 4,000 fans non-stop for 4 years. Okay.
Let me bring this here for just 1 second, because I think it'll be a fun fact for a lot of people that are listening. Before we jump into continuing the story and Monegros and everything else, today, what type of DJs play in Florida 125? Because I don't think many people here would know, and I can't wait for you to say, because many are shocked to hear.
Yeah, Florida 135 is the #1 techno club in Spain, and everyone knows Florida as the mecca of techno music. So it's like the techno cathedral of the country. And so my father, in fact, today I was having lunch with a really close friend, and we were talking about the history of Spain. And as I was saying, like for 4 years, we introduced the first electronic music from Valencia to Florida. But then my father realized that something else was missing. And it was funny because we had people coming from the south of France bringing flyers, the first flyers, electronic flyers with DJs, like with Sven Bath, Joy Kitty Conti, Francesco Farfa, John Aquaviva, Carl Cox, and my father got shocked because it was the first time ever that he saw a flyer with names, with names that no one knew. And underneath there was like a text explaining who they were. So he saw that in the early 90s, I would say in 1990. And then he took my mom and they drove around Europe for 3 months, going from rave to a rave, meeting all these DJs. So this is when they met Laurent Garnier when he was 19 years old in Paris at Rex. This is how they met Sven Bath playing in the tunnels in illegal raves in Germany. This is how they met Francesco Farfa playing in Rimini in the most crazy raves in Italy. John Aquaviva, this is how they met all of them. And they came back to Fraga, and out of the blue, he told my grandfather, listen, Dad, we have to move from Ruta del Bacalao, and we have to really introduce electronic music to Spain because this is the future. No one knows about this sound. But I am telling you, we have been partying for 3 months now, and this sound is going to be huge in Europe. So we have to be the first ones in Spain to support the genre. And obviously, it's going to take us some time to explain our audience and our customers how important this industry is going to be in the future. So basically, we went from selling 4,000 tickets every Saturday to selling 100 tickets. And it was like from one weekend to another, we had people from Valencia playing to have Laurent Garnier, Sven Bath, Richie Houghton, like John Aquaviva, for instance, he introduced us to Richie Houghton. And basically my father paid him like a ticket flight to fly from Canada, 700 euros. And he played for us for the first time in Spain. So Carl Cox, playing also for us when he was like 22 years old. So for I would say for 4 or 5 years, in the early 90s, my father tried to explain everyone in Spain, to explain the audience, how important the electronic music was going to be in the future. And he overspent a lot of time, energy, and obviously money to bring together these, like magazines. He even created the first dictionary about electronic sounds. So he did he had like 60 people at the office just making stories. Like he did the first website channel of electronic music in Spain. And he had all these, all the people that knew about electronic music working for him and explaining the audience who were those DJs, because we had people from Detroit, like Juan Atkins, Derek May, Stacy Pullen, all these guys from America, Danny Tenaglia, you name it. Every single DJ that has ever become big in the world has played for our family. So it took him 4 years of his life. So let's say from 1990 to 1994, he basically lost all the money he made from the previous years. He had to ask for a credit at the bank. And he really invested all the money he had because he really believed that what he was doing was going to be the future. And right at the end, when we were about to close Florida 135, because we were owning and the debts were really big, the electronic music became famous. It became popular. And all of a sudden, obviously, Florida 135 was the mecca of techno music in the south of Europe. So from that specific moment, I would say for the next 10, 15 years, my father managed to sell, again, 4,000 tickets every weekend with all these international DJs playing back-to-back every single weekend. And remember that back in the days, we used to open every weekend. So we were doing about 65, 70 shows a year with 4,000 people nonstop. And we used to have maybe 40 buses traveling from all over Europe. So we had every weekend, like driving to Madrid, Barcelona, Basque Country, Galicia, Valencia, Marseille, Toulouse. We had people from all over Europe driving 10, 12 hours to party at Florida for 10 hours and then driving back to their houses.
Oh my God.
So it was like really powerful. Back in the days, I was probably 10 years and we have a flat above the club. So I used to open the window and I could see all the parking full of people with the sound systems and everyone going crazy for 24 hours. And probably that was one of the things that it really inspired me to be in the business. Because after seeing my father fighting for electronic music, like seeing him, like reinvesting all the money they had, going to the banks to ask for credit, and like seeing him so excited about explaining the people who those people were, like through magazines, websites, flyers, like that was so inspirational to me. That's the reason we are right now talking about the industry,
Wow. I'm just thinking about what was going through his head, because it's like, what is driving you? Like, what is it? Is the passion for the music, or are you just so passionate about making sure people are having a good time? Like it sounds like it was just the love of the music, right?
Yeah, I think it's a little bit of both of that, but like the main reason that we are in this industry is passion. That's the reality. Because if it wasn't about passion, we would be in another business. That's for sure. Because people outside of the industry think that this is maybe they might think that this is an easy industry to be part of and it's to make money, but it's all the way around. It's really challenging.
And the best at the same time, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a roller coaster. One thing, you are on the top of the hill, and in 1 month, you are the poorest guy on the planet because you had a crazy idea, you put a crazy product together, and you lost everything. So it's really, really tricky. I would say that my parents were passionate, and I would say the entire family. I am not passionate only about one music genre, and this is my father too. We are passionate about how to entertain people from now to the future. So as I was saying before, as like my grandfather said, he was trying to be in the cutting edge back in the 40s, when he was trying to fly people from Vegas to play in Fraga, because he wanted to be a pioneer, and he wanted to be the first one in Spain bringing those artists to our audience. I feel the same way. Like we are trying to bring different experiences to the customers worldwide, and we want to offer them something different. And this is this is all about passion. It's not about one music gender. It's not about one country. It's not about one DJ. It's about trying to deliver something to the audience that they have never seen before. Experience. But today, for instance, Mike, today, elro is an experience. Back in the days, my father was delivering an experience through the DJ only. And my grandfather was delivering an experience through a band that was flying from Vegas, and we knew we will never make money with that band, but that will inspire people from Spain to listen new music.
So Florida 135 becomes the first big project, moves to electronic music, pioneering electronic music in Spain. All the techno, all the house DJs play there right now, today, right before pandemic and right as soon as it's over. How late do the parties go? And is it just something that's automatically sold out practically every event, or how does it work?
Look, the industry has changed a lot, because as a club owner, and people will know that, the last, I will say, 10, 15 years have changed. Like the entire industry have changed, probably because of the cell phones. I remember back in the days partying every weekend, going to the same clubs, because that was a way to connect with each other, to learn about new music, to meet new DJs, but also to find new friendships, like you name it, new friends, girlfriends, whatever. But we didn't have this. We didn't have the phones. And so everyone was going to these clubs, and the club scene became huge. And now all of that have changed, because we don't need going to the same clubs every time. And people are, the world has become global. It's much easier to travel. So right now you're not competing with a club around the corner. You are competing with clubs all over the world. You're competing with festivals all over the world. So for instance, I was telling you before, we used to do 65 parties a year. Right now we are doing 20 shows a year. So basically it's once a month, and every big public holiday, like New Year's, Halloween, Easter, things like that. But now I know, like, Florida is still amazing. It is still now the most well-known techno club in Spain. And every time we open, we do 4,000 tickets, but only 15, 20 times a year, because all these kids have got the money to travel far away and they go for different experiences. So it had changed a lot, Mike.
But every time I have a conversation with the artists, honestly, they all think that this is a legendary club. Everyone, to play in Florida now, these days, people take it almost as an honor because of so much history there. And I think the cool thing is the fans and the artists really understand. 1 second, someone's knocking. Sorry.
You're good.
Yes, right.
I was going to ask you as well. You kind of touched on this, but I'm just imagining what it was like growing up in your household. So I was going to ask, was there ever any other career path for you, or you knew really early on you were doing this?
Like, to be honest, my parents, my mom and my father, they always wanted me to be out of this business. So since I was a kid, they were always pushing me out of the business and telling me, Juan, no worries, we will sell the club. And then you can start your own thing, you can create your own company, but don't think about nightlife as a way of living. But at the same time, I was going to Mykonos when I was 18 years old to do all these after parties with them. And I was going to Ibiza since I was 14 years old, going to all the nightclubs like Amnesia. I used to go to illegal raves with them. I used to go to Sonar Festival. I remember myself when I was 10 years old going to Monegros Festival, which is a festival that my father did in the desert, which is 15 kilometers away from Fraga. He started that festival in 1994. So I was probably 12 years old, 14 years old. And I remember him telling me, Juan, this is not for you. This is what I do for a living. And Carl Cox was playing on a truck, he was playing on top of a truck in front of 8,000 people. But obviously at the same time, I was thinking, my father has managed to put a festival together in the middle of the desert with a black guy that no one knows on top of a truck. And all of a sudden, this festival became the biggest festival in the south of Europe with 45,000 people in the desert partying. For me, it was hard to handle. Okay, my parents are telling me to work in something else, but he has managed to bring people from 80 countries partying together in a desert in the middle of nowhere. This is 25 years ago. For me, if I had to pick, I would pick making people happy, and this is the way I think now, what makes me happier of all the things I do is when I jump on the stage and I see 10,000, 15,000, 20,000, 30,000 people smiling and partying together. That is the best reward I can have as a promoter. Forget about the money, forget about the DJs, forget about the music, forget about the experience. For me, the most important thing as a promoter is to make people happy. And this is what my grandfather told me always. Juan, remember that the artists and the DJs are working not for you, are working for the customer. So when the customer is paying 20 euros, 30 euros, they have to deliver the music for the fans to have fun. Not all the way around. The key element of us being promoters for 130 years is that we make sure our fans are having fun. That's it. Right. That's the secret of our life, of our family.
How many years did Monegros go until you guys took a break, and now it's obviously...
So it's been now 25 years. It was the first festival in Spain, and as I said, my grandmother owns a land, which is 15 minutes away from Florida 135, and it's in the middle of the desert, so it's dry. The land is worthless, but has got 400 hectares of land. So it's like a big chunk of land. Yeah. And basically my father decided one day, while they were partying, he's like, okay, we own a land, let's go with the friends, 300 cars, and let's do a barbecue and let's party for 24 hours. And this is how they started. They brought the DJs, they took the car, and when they closed Florida on Sunday morning, they all drove to the land, and they spent there 2 days partying, doing barbecues, braais, partying. And this is how Monegros started. It wasn't thought as a festival at the beginning. It was just like a place to party with their friends. That's it.
I would like to take 300 cars, kill those friends, and go to the desert for 2 days to party in a barbecue. That sounds like a really good festival to me.
That's it. So this is how he started, and it was like a joke. Then, obviously, year one, we didn't make any money. Year two, it's like we did 1,000 people. Year 3,000. Year 4,000. But he kept losing money. But it was cool because we were coming from Florida 135, and it was like an after party. We party, and that's it. Like something special on the year. But then it became more and more serious. And I remember, like, when there was like 10,000 people, he never wanted to do the party on Saturdays, because on Saturdays we were opening Florida 135. So he said, okay, and because we don't want to close Florida 135, let's do the festival, the party on Friday. So we do the party for 10, 15,000 people on Friday, and then we can carry on at Florida 135. So all of a sudden, it was all the way around. So people was partying on Friday at the festival, and then they would do the carry-on on Saturday at Florida. And there was in one point when we did 20,000 people out of the blue. I remember my mom and my father really concerned, because obviously back in the days, putting a festival together for 20,000 people was a nightmare. Like the credits were really expensive. In Spain, we used to pay 20% commission to the banks every year. So asking for money was really expensive. And I remember my parents being 1 week before the festival, really nervous at the balcony of our apartment in Barcelona, because we sold 2,000 tickets only. This is 7 days before the festival. So they thought we were going to lose everything. And all of a sudden, in 7 days, they sold 25,000 tickets. People were queuing on the lines on every single city in Spain, in the record stores, buying tickets, physical tickets. And there was 2-3 hours lines of people waiting in all these like shops all over Spain just to go to the biggest rave in Spain. And I remember that, like, from my parents having a huge depression on the balcony, thinking that they were going to lose everything, to make obviously good money. But the most important, they managed to bring 30,000 people in 1 week. Wow. And this is when they realized that like the industry was becoming bigger. And this is when we decided to move the festival from Fridays to Saturdays. And the last edition was in 2014 with 41,000 tickets sold.
Wow. And now it's going to come back as soon as the pandemic is over.
That's it. Yeah, that's it.
We're going to take Emma and we're going to
show her. Book me a flight right now. I'm going.
I have an interesting question, because I think it's a cool way to transition maybe into how elro was born. The same way as after Florida, they would take cars with their friends and go to the desert in the morning to continue partying. Elro has a similar story, right? Why don't you tell? It's how did it all begin?
Well, elro story started 12, 13 years ago. I am now 38. Okay, so I did university in Barcelona, business administration for 5 years. And then I did a postgraduate in San Francisco University. And then from there, I flew to Australia to improve my English. And from Australia, I did 1 year in Cape Town, in South Africa. And when I was in South Africa, my parents obviously were in Barcelona. And my father, you know, he never stopped searching for new locations and opportunities to do something crazy. So one day, out of the blue, I was on the beach, and he called me and he told me, Juan, I have got the best place in Barcelona ever. It's next to the airport. They have got a license, and we have to start from scratch. There is nothing, but we have the license. So I need you to fly from Cape Town in the next 3 days. I have to show you the place, and if you like it, we take it, and we build a club. So I was on the beach. I took a plane back to Barcelona. He took me straight to the site, because the site is 1,000 meters from the airport. So I didn't even have time to say hi to my grandparents or my mom. I went to the site, and I went to a bush in the middle of nowhere where you could see the planes arriving, kind of DC-10 club in Ibiza. And he was in the middle of the space, full of grass with trees and everything. He's like, Juan, do you see it? This is the perfect place. This is going to be the best location in Spain. It's like, okay, Dad, I love the place. It's next to the highway. It's next to the airport. It's 15 minutes away from Barcelona. So let's go for it. So basically, he took the money he had from Monegros and Florida, and we invested 3 million euros in order to build this new club out of the scratch. Okay, so because I was in Cape Town, I flew back 1 week after to Cape Town, and the decorators and my parents called me again out of the blue. It's like, Juan, we thought we have an amazing idea. Now that you are in Cape Town, we are gonna have this club to look alike, like it was like an African club from Cape Town. So what you have to do is you have to go to all these stores in the city, bring containers, full containers, and we're going to decorate the entire club like it was an African club. So I spent 1 month dealing with all these African people, buying chairs, tables, like fencings, like anything, you name it. I managed to get 4 containers, 40-feet containers to Barcelona. And in 6 months, we had the club ready. I flew back my parents told me, Juan, it's time for you to start working properly. I think you have been studying a lot already, so you have to take over the business. And if you love what you do, you have to take over this club and start managing with probably like a Florida 135 model. Like at the beginning, we thought, okay, Florida is working amazing. Monegros is doing 40,000 tickets a year. So let's reply Florida 135 model, but in this time, let's do it in Barcelona. And for the first 2 years of the club, which the name was Row 14, because it's 14 kilometers away from downtown, we tried to bring all the top DJs that we knew, obviously, all the top DJs in the world, to play for us. We did that for 3 years, and we lost another 3 million euros.
Oh, no.
And so...
Was it because Barcelona wasn't ready for that sound, or because it wasn't in city?
No, all the way around, Mike. It was because people copied my father's model from Fraga, and the model was already saturating the market. So basically, in every major city, you will have several clubs bringing those DJs and overpaying them and replying the model that my father started in Fraga. So when we wanted to do this model in Barcelona, there were already many clubs doing that, and for the people it wasn't a good enough experience to drive to the club to see Calcox, to see Sven Bath, because they could see all these DJs in many places in Spain, especially in Ibiza. Okay, so after 3 years and losing another 3 million euros. I remember we were having lunch at home, and my father told me, Juan, listen, now that we have decided to close down the club, why don't we try to do an after party Sunday morning and see what happens? Because there was a market in Barcelona for the after parties, but all these after parties usually were really dodgy, with dodgy people. And I told my father, listen, Dad, I love the industry. I love what we do. I love what we do in Florida. I love what we do at Monegros. But I wouldn't spend my time or wasting my time in opening an after party, a normal after party, with dodgy people. I don't want to have the drug dealers at the party. I don't want to have just resident DJs. I don't want to have, you name it, like dodgy people. So anyways, I told him, listen, let me brainstorm with my friends. Let's forget for 1 second about the international DJs, and let's think about the customer experience again. Because for the last 15 years, I have got the feeling that all these club owners and even ourselves have been thinking only to bring about the DJs, but we forgot how important is the customer experience. And at the end, this is key. This is what our grandfather and my great-grandfather taught us. We are in this industry because we want them to have fun, not the DJ to have fun. They are the ones that need to have fun, and the experience should be around them, not about the DJ only. So in that specific moment, this is when elro started. And this is right now 10, 11 years ago. Okay. So I sat down with all my best friends, all of them really party animals. I was 25, 26 years old. We used to go to all the psytrance parties all over the world. We knew how important to have fun was for us. We knew how important the music was to us. But we also knew how we wanted to have a real party, And basically, we started brainstorming in a round table at the office, just throwing crazy ideas out, okay, why don't we decorate the club? And why don't we bring some games? And why don't we start bringing actors and steel walkers and toys and inflatables? And how these things are going to be working in the dance floor? And for 6 months, we started analyzing all these games, interactions with the audience, and we could see how people were, interacting with all of that, how they were connecting with each other, how they were exchanging information, cell phones, like how we were creating community. Because at the end, elro started as a huge community in Barcelona where everyone could come every Sunday morning. No one was judging anyone. We had people from nightlife. Just after they stopped finishing in the normal nightclubs, they were coming to elro just to have fun. Like no one was judging anyone.
Positive vibes.
That's it. Positive vibes. Music was one more thing, but wasn't the main thing.
How did you guys open the doors at elro on Sunday mornings?
This would be like at 6 o'clock in the morning. And it was crazy, Mike, because it was crazy because it was in the morning. I remember myself, in winter time, like foggy, like, I don't know, 10 degrees. My alarm goes on, 4 o'clock in the morning. And I used to remember, it's like, who the hell is going to come now to the club? It's like, I used to take a shower, like calling my friends, going to the doors of the nightclubs in Barcelona to put free wristbands to the audience and explain them that there was an after party 14 kilometers away, and it would be the most amazing experience for them. So I remember myself and another 20 friends going to all these nightclubs, putting wristbands to all the dancers, go-go girls, like transvestites, like all the proper nightlife, industry. And we used to put buses for free. And I go into the club at 6 o'clock in the morning, and there was maybe a queue of, I would say, 1,000 people waiting at the door, in the middle of nowhere with people, people with the jackets in winter. And then in that specific moment, I realized that we had something really special in our hands. So I had, after 6 months of losing money, because at the beginning I was just throwing money away because everyone was coming for free, all my friends from the industry, just partying, going crazy. After 6 months, I sat with my family and I told them, listen, we have got two options. Or we close down and that's it. Or we invest even more money and we create the most amazing party in Europe. And we have to take this to the rest of the world. And obviously, because we like and we love the industry, we asked for another credit and we went back to the banks. This is my father. And we reinvested all the money for the first, I would say, 4 or 5 years of elro, going to Ibiza, rebuilding Privilege Club, and basically building the team around, creating all these warehouses.
Wow.
So when it comes to Ibiza, the first elro in Ibiza was in Privilege.
Yeah, that's it. So after two seasons in Barcelona going crazy, like we had every Sunday, we had like 3,000 people with resident DJs. And those times were the best times probably in Barcelona history.
And no big international.
Not internationals were allowed. I didn't want them because I wanted people to understand again that we were caring about their experience. So I had 6 residents and that's it. For 6 months, international DJs were not allowed in the club. I only want them to focus.
It's about music, but not about any particular artist. It's about
the experience. That's it. It was more about balancing the experience of the customer. So it's not all about the music. It's about the music, the experience, the meeting people, decorations, actors. All of that. That was it was a combination of factors. Let's say it. So, anyways, after 2 years, the party became really famous in Spain, and my father, out of the blue, came to me as well and asked me and told me, Juan, I spoke to the owner of Privilege, Jose Maria, and he has got a side room for 2,000 people, but it's completely destroyed. But the location is amazing. You can see the sea, and it's in front of Amnesia. It has got an amazing view with crystals, with amazing. The location is amazing. The only problem is that we have to invest 500,000 euros. We have to come up with a name. We have to design the logo of the new location, and we have to decide if we want to reinvest the money. I told him yes, obviously. So we reinvested the money that we were making in Barcelona into Ibiza, and we asked him for 2 years exclusivity in order to build the club. So we built the club. It took us 4 or 5 months. And that was the first year we did a row in Ibiza. At the beginning, we did 20 shows in the summer. The first 10 shows were with 1,000 people, so we were losing money. And the last 10 were sold out with 2,000 people, but they're still losing money. So the first 4 years of Ibiza, I would say we lost 500,000 euros every season, something like that. But we kept pushing, we kept investing, we kept increasing the show, we kept booking international DJs. And all of a sudden, after 2 years at Privilege, we got offers from every single club in Ibiza because the brand was the most popular brand in Spain, but also in Italy, probably after, I would say, Circo Loco. But we were really strong back in the days. And then we got an offer from Space to go there. So Juan Arenas, who was the director of Space, believed in us. We moved from Privilege to Space. And in that specific moment, elro became huge. I remember we went from 2,000 tickets to selling 6,000 tickets every weekend. And the year after, we were doing 8,500 people every Saturday. So the brand just exploded. And I realized in that specific moment that we were getting offers from promoters, especially from Portugal, France, and Italy, asking to have an elro party in their clubs. So in that moment, I went back to my family, to my father and my sister, and told them, listen, I know we are big in Spain, we are big in Barcelona, we are big in Ibiza, but we have got this amazing opportunity to be big in Europe. But if we want to be big in Europe, we have to invest again money.
Take credit. Let's go back and get credit.
So we went back to the banks and asked for, again, a lot of money in order to build a proper factory and company in Barcelona and build a proper team around. And that's what we did. I reinvested all the money we were making from Ibiza into the brand. And after 2 years, elro became huge in Europe. We were selling, I remember that, we sold 18,000 tickets in the UK, in London, for the first time in elro town in 5 hours. So I remember myself being in Vegas. And I was visiting Vegas because I really believed that elro could be or could have a residency in Vegas. So I was in Vegas meeting all these promoters from every single nightclub, and I went to sleep. And when I woke up, I had a text message from Nick Sabine, the owner of Resident Advisor, telling me congratulations. And I wrote him back. He's like, congratulations for what? I mean, I am in Vegas, brother, trying, like, no one is listening to me. These people don't know elro, and I am trying to convince them to have an elro brand here. And he told me, Juan, you sold 18,000 tickets through a Resident Advisor in 5 hours.
Wow.
And I didn't even know. So I woke up with a sold out festival out of the blue. And that's when I realized that the brand was huge in Europe, especially, I would say, in England, Holland, France, Italy, and Spain. And since then, obviously, the brand is being evolving.
So hold on. Let me stop you for a second. So the festival in London, that's the first time elro town comes?
Yeah, that's it.
Okay. So this is elro town.
That's the first elro town ever in our history.
So the club shows going on. We're doing them in Spain.
So basically, in the UK, so we did some shows in the south of France for 2,000, 3,000 people. Obviously, I was losing money every time I was doing the show because I had to sell the show for 15,000 euros. But I was bringing containers, actors, steel workers. So every time I was putting a show out, I was losing 20, 30, 40,000 euros. But anyways, I did those shows. I went to France, to Italy, and then we did the first club show in London for 800 people. The show was great. Again, we lost 20,000 euros, but the show was amazing. And from that specific moment, we decided to do some club shows around England, almost for free. in order to build the brand. And this was when I met Rack, the manager of Seth Rosler and all of that, who later became my partner in the UK market. And he was the one that believed in the brand and told me, Juan, if this concept is working in Ibiza, I am telling you, when you bring this to the UK, people are going to be blown away by it. So let's partner up and let's bring it to the electronic audience. And this is how we started, Mike. So we did small clubs all over the country. And all of a sudden we did the biggest club, I think, was the biggest show in England was at Tobacco Dock. I remember with 5,000-6,000 people. And all of a sudden we decided to do the festival. And we were not sure about doing it because putting together a festival in the middle of London is really expensive. This was at Olympic Park, with the Olympic Games were. And it took us, I think what the festival was like 2 million euros cost. And we decided to go ahead. And in 5 hours, we sold 18,000 tickets.
Interesting. And when you did the first Elro Town, was the lineup announced or was it just?
No. People didn't know anything. They only knew Olympic Park and the date. We didn't even have time to announce the lineup.
It didn't matter.
I know. I'm just asking so everybody else knows it too. I remember the shock, the feeling, like why, how? It just didn't make sense until it did. And this is where the world expansion really begins and other elro town happens. So let's say at a specific moment, sorry.
You're good.
In that specific moment, I realized that we had a strong brand in Europe, okay, but I wanted to go to the world. So we had two options. I went back to my family and told them, listen, now that we are strong in Europe, I want to be strong in the rest of the world. So all the money we are making in Europe, I have to reinvest it and try to be big in the USA, South America, and Asia. How we're going to be doing it? And do we want to go back to the banks again and ask for another 3-5 million euros, or we get an investor, and convince them that this is a great product and there is a right family backing up the concept, and let's see, And in that specific moment, we decided that instead of going to a bank and ask for a credit and put, all our properties and houses and flats again into the banks, and try to go for a private investor. So this is already 4 years ago from now, or 5 already maybe. And this is how Superstruct, which is a vehicle run by James Barton, which belongs to Providence, got involved in the company. So when we were about to sell some shares to a Chinese fund, private equity fund from China, I remember James Barton, who back in the days was the Live Nation president, calling me and saying, Juan, I know you have got a great product in Europe. I am moving away from Live Nation. I am creating a new vehicle with Roderick, who is another partner from Providence, just to put brands together from the electronic music, and I would love to have your brand involved. And I told him, listen, I would love to be part with you, but I am about to have some shares to this Chinese fund. And so he told me, no, please don't do it. I will fly to Barcelona. Let's meet and let's discuss it. And after 3 months of conversations, we decided to move from the Chinese private equity fund to them because, they had expertise. I believed in James. I believed in Roderick because both of them were passionate about the electronic music. And for me, it was important to have someone involved in the company that really believed in what we were doing, like people that had passion about it. So we decided to sell some shares to them. And straight away, when they put the money into the company, what I did is spending all the money in building a bigger company. So basically, I built a bigger warehouse in Barcelona, a bigger team, And this is how I started going to all these other countries worldwide. So 4 or 5 years ago, I would say we did 100 shows in 40 countries, in probably 80 cities worldwide. Wow. And this is how the brand became global. So yeah, long story short.
I have a question about the creative aspect of it, because I'm just sitting here wondering, like, who is actually dreaming up what these events look like the performers, the structures you're building? Like, what is your creative team like? Are you heavily involved in that process?
Well, at the beginning, there was a team of 6 people. So there was basically my sister, my best, I would say 4 or 5 friends, and myself, just coming out with these crazy ideas. And we didn't have any technical designer, any producer, anything. It was ourselves spending in Viladecans at elro in Barcelona, maybe 10 days, putting together this decoration app. And that's it. This is how we started. And nowadays, and I will say pre-COVID, it's about 7-8 people. I am fully involved because for me, this is what I do. I will say I am the creative mind behind elro together with my sister. But obviously, nowadays, I always say that, the reason elro became huge is not because us anymore. It's because the team around us, because we are truly a family. I try to look after all of them like they were my sisters and siblings, I will say. And every time we have to come up with a concept, I invite everyone in the company to throw ideas out. And obviously, I try to bring all those ideas into a smaller groups. And at the end, I will say I have got 6 people from the creative department as per today. Obviously, my sister, some people from marketing, some creative people from different departments, including social media. And we are like really open organization. So if you are really creative and you are in finance department, you are more than welcome to join us in brainstorming sessions. We will be there like many hours, brainstorming about which idea is the craziest one. And at the end, what we try to do is we create a funnel and we come up with the themes. But I will say there is no more than 6-7 people taking the final decision, which is the head of creativity, head of operations, myself, my sister, and even I will say my parents, because at the end we are still a family, and we try to understand what people loves, and that's it. It's still really, I will say. Now we do it in a professional way. We have got the proper team around it with proper technicians, operations, 3D renders, proper budgets. We do it properly now. But the process is the same than 10 years ago. The same.
Wow. I was going to say, we were talking about kids before, like bringing kids to these events or something like that. I feel like we're just giant kids because it's like the same thing. It's just a fun fantasy surprise, circus. So are you going to expand into doing raves for kids in the future? I'm just kidding.
We thought about it. Yeah. We are already exploring that area. Now I have
Sounds like a good name. Kids Row.
Yeah.
Exactly.
elro free and some family. We are exploring that business unit. I don't like business unit because it sounds really corporate, but it's true. We were trying to do that in the UK, because as we had the festival already organized for older than 18 years old, we wanted to take advantage and do one kids festival the day before, but we might wait a little bit longer now to do it.
No, I love it.
I'm assuming let's not allow for the parents to come in. Let's keep the parents in a VIP section at the kids party.
Yeah, exactly. I'm curious too how you guys stay connected with the fans as well, because we mentioned before, I feel like the brand awareness is what's huge about it, because even if somebody hasn't attended an elro event, what it is, you've heard about the experience before. So you kind of have that whole element, especially in the United States. But yeah, I don't know. I'm curious how you guys stay connected with fans and get feedback and stuff like that on events.
You mean in general?
Yeah, just in general, like obviously now, especially this past year without shows and festivals, it's like, how do you still stay connected with everybody?
Well, before the pandemic, the secret of the family, and this is being for 6 generations already, is that we are always partying with the audience. Mm-hmm. Okay, so in order to understand how the kids think, you have to party with them. Mm-hmm. Otherwise, you will never ever understand and survive in this industry. If you want to make money and do a festival and just run away with the cash, if you are lucky, you might do it. But if you want to be in this industry for 100 years and leave it to your kids and really understand what fans want, you must party with them and try to think one step ahead of them. Mm-hmm. So you are always teaching something to them. Sometimes like my father did was music, or my grandfather did was music. My father introduced to them electronic music. Then he introduced to them the first festival in Spain. And I introduced to them the experience concept, because I thought in that specific moment 10 years ago, we were missing something, and that's how I did it. So it's always trying to think what they are going to want in the next 10, 15 years, thinking ahead. Mm-hmm.
And I want to quickly touch base on what happened during pandemic, because there was some epic live streams and special venues, but I just want to go back to this point for a minute, because it is very important. And I know everybody will agree with me in the industry. One of the reasons why those of us that have been doing this for a very long time, one of the reasons why we have been doing this for a long time is because ultimately we are the fans. And so when we create an experience, we already know we're going to like it. And so if we are the fans and we're going to like it, then we know that the audience that we're seeking to serve, they're going to like it too. And so for as long as there's no disconnect and the promoters are transparent, communicating what the brand is about, it will always grow, because ultimately you know exactly who you are creating this experience for, because you are that person. And so does everyone else on the dance floor. And I don't think there's a successful promoter who doesn't party with the fans together.
Yeah. Is the secret. Is the secret. You have to be in their fans' head,
So what does the brand do when pandemic happens? There was some epic live streams.
Yeah, so basically we made a shift from, I would say, real events company to a digital company. Mm-hmm. So we are now an entirely digital company. We moved, as I said, from doing 130 shows worldwide to doing virtual events, and you name it. We have been doing VR events, streamings. We are doing, many. We are basically we are putting all the effort in keeping our fans close and happy, in order when this is over, to be ready to deliver the most amazing experience ever.
Yep. We'll be ready. That's for sure. MJ, do you have any other questions too? I know we respect your time so much.
Special concepts in plans that you want to share with the listeners?
Well, right now we are working in some amazing concepts, virtual concepts that we are going to be releasing really soon. One of them is going to be a virtual reality nightclub in England. So we are creating almost like a festival VR where everyone can join us. The last VR we did was like about 2 million people watching it.
Wow.
So the numbers we are talking are quite big. So we are going to be doing some virtual reality, some live streamings. Like we are doing, for instance, the 20th of February, an hologram show. We are having also 2 amazing contests that are going to take light, I will say, in the next month or so. One is related to DJs, to music, and the other one is related to the work of your life. So both concepts are gonna be both concepts are gonna be really interesting. And we are creating some other shows in the summer that are gonna be quite unique, probably with elro and also with Monegros, which are gonna be secret parties. Which I cannot disclose now, but probably in the summer we're going to be busy with those, and hopefully from Q4 we will start doing some physical events worldwide, starting especially in Asia and in the USA and some other countries in Europe, hopefully. But we are already working, and when it comes about physical events, we are developing new concepts and ideas, big ones, for the European market in 2022. So now we have been doing like 3-4 big festivals. Probably in 2022 we will be doing 10 festivals and more than 100 shows worldwide.
Future is very bright.
Yeah, we have to stay positive.
You just mentioned DJs. What's your take on the future of electronic music and house music? Where do you see this evolve? Because as you know, there's so many different subgenres of electronic and specifically house music that do usually draw a different type of audience. But I feel like these days now, more than ever, all these different subgenres of house music is coming together, because I feel fans have learned how to appreciate different sounds and not to be stubborn and just be, hey, I only listen to deep house set, or I only listen to an uplifting music or tech house or what Fisher plays or what Dixon plays. I feel like it's a lot more about let's come together, and then it's house music and it's actually fun. And there's some epic DJs like John Hopkins who I'll always catch him play different genres of music all in the same set, and I personally love it. What do you think is the future of house music, electronic music, and what is the future of elro's music? Are there any changes coming up, or is it going to be?
Yeah, sure. Look, I am really happy about the technological changes we are experiencing, because I can see already that all the new generations and kids are much more open than before. So, for instance, I grew up with techno. I am the biggest techno fan in the world. But for instance, at elro, the main music genre is tech house. That's the reality. You were asking Mike how I see elro. I see elro expanding to new music genres. As most of our audience know, they know that our main or the core music is tech house. We're already expanding to techno. It's amazing how music and disco is coming back, and for me, it makes me really happy, because you have got these small DJs playing amazing music, and which is uplifting and fun and engaging, that, I know it's gonna be is really strong in the future. So what you will see with elro is gonna be an expansion of music genres, especially in the locations that we have got multiple rooms to play with. So when we come to Barcelona, where we have 5 different rooms, or New York, where we have 3-4 different rooms, or Madrid, or Manchester, or London, in all these places, you are going to see different styles of music, from house to techno to tech house to disco to even drum and bass. I am really, really open to show the customers and the audience that they can have an experience, an elro experience, with a lot of different music genres. And that's the secret. We want to keep evolving. We want to be in the cutting edge. We want to bring new talent and give them the opportunity to be big also in the future. So you're going to see up-and-coming names that most of the people don't know, but we know they are amazing, in order to give them exposure to play in front of 5, 10, 8,000 people, 15,000 people, and give them the opportunity to be big in the future. Because all these music genres, I got the feeling that it's not going to be about one music genre. I got the feeling that there is going to be about multiple music genres, which makes me really happy.
That's awesome. You mentioned before you're a big Psytrance fan as well. That'd be pretty cool.
Yeah, right now it's like Psytrance is number 1 and techno is number 2.
I love it. I have one last question for you too. I know we've taken up a lot of your time today. We really appreciate it. But I'm curious, like, 1, do you take days off? And 2, what do you do to relax, to like unwind?
Now it's easier because of COVID. So I go to the office every day from 9 to, I will say, to 2. Then I go to the school to pick up my kid, and I spend time in the afternoon with the family, which is great because for the last 10 years, as you can imagine, I didn't have much of that. But when the business is back, and this is my passion, the beauty about what we do is that we don't consider this as a job. It's like our hobby. And I work more than, I would say, 12, 14 hours a day. So I usually wake up 7 a.m. and go to the gym. I start at the office at 9 o'clock in the morning and I finish at 9 p.m. And this is from Monday to Friday. And then on Friday, I take planes anywhere in the world, from Vegas to New York to Manchester to Asia, whatever. I am there at the most important shows of that week with the local promoters, trying to read the crowd and understand how they are having fun and what they like the most out of the show. And then I go back I go back to the family or to the house, to my home on Sunday, sleep in the afternoon, and then Monday I am back at the office at 12, and that's it. This is what I do for a living.
That's amazing. That's good though. I feel like we all feel the same. It doesn't feel like work. You're just enjoying it. You're so passionate about it.
Yeah, that's it. You know, I would say the hardest part right now is because I have a family and I really want to spend time with the kids. Is I am trying to balance a little bit more because I would say 3 years ago was only about work. I didn't have a private life. Which is fine for me because at the end my life is my business and what I love doing. But now I have got a family, I have got kids, I have got my wife, and even though we all work together and we all are a family that stays together and we make decisions together, you know, I want to spend more time with the family. So COVID-19 and this period has made me realize how important it is to have a balance in your life. So, you know, I try to have, right now, I will try to balance, you know, like family, friends, health, nightlife, deliver shows, you know, like I'm going to try to balance all of that in once. And let's see, you know, like I will try to behave a little bit more and you know, balance it all together.
It's good. It puts things in perspective for sure.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah. That's it.
Well, I think it's a great story. It's really fascinating how you can see that people have the right intentions in mind and don't do this to make money, but do this to make people dance and, you know, do this to entertain others. They don't look at P&Ls and year-over-year growth, but they look at this as a destiny and something that you want to build and live for your kids. And I think on that note, it's good to end and, you know, give everyone just a thoughtful food of how much it takes from the organizers to put everything together and how they are all in on your experience. So I think one of the reasons we've created the podcast and in general Festival Insider is for the organizers, for us at the industry to better understand the fans and what they're looking for and how to make it better for them, but also on the other side, for the fans to understand how the organizers risk, put everything on the line, don't have any time with the family, and do everything that they can to create the experiences for the fans. I think it will bring us all closer. And I think on that note, we love you, Juanito. Best of luck with everything.
It's a pleasure, brother. I love you. I love you too.
Thank you so much for your time. This was amazing.
Emma, nice to meet you. Looking forward to meet you in New York, but you have to fly to Barcelona and Ibiza and party together with us because we are going to be partying.
Yes,
I will 100%. Show you everything, but we will be partying.
I would love that. Yes, I'm super excited. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you so much, Emma. Thank you so much.
Yeah. Bye. That was amazing. I honestly feel like we I don't know. I feel extremely inspired, and I feel like good things happen to good people. And just hearing his story and his passion behind everything to me was really, really inspiring. And I think it's amazing that it's a family business. And I think that carries over into the overall experience of their nightclubs and elro. And I feel like anybody who attends an elro show becomes a part of their family. That's just kind of what the entire experience feels like to me. But that was pretty amazing. How are you feeling about it, MJ?
Yeah, it really is one of the most fascinating stories. I think what's important for the listeners, the viewers that are watching this right now, if you took the time and you understand our mission with Emma, the reason why we're bringing these guys to the show is to just demonstrate how much work this takes, how much risk this takes. I mean, how many times did he mention that he took credit in the bank, or that they took all the profits made at one venture and reinvested in the other? Trust me, when they do that, it's not because they want to go and make more money. It's because they want to keep it going. And I think that's the key. And, being on the other side of the field, I do notice, in some countries more than others, there's a lot of very disappointing feedback when the lineups get announced or whatever, where the fans are just like, oh, you have like 4 headliners instead of 8, or like, oh my God, like you have the same lineup. It's just, it's, when the organizers put it together, they have to keep it going. And if they're going to lose money at every show that they do, there's going to be no one to entertain you. It's about the balance. The organizers know how important music is, and they know how much they can spend booking the talent, and they'll book the best talent for that money. And the music never disappoints. So why care exactly who is in the lineup? Because in the end of the day, there's a difference between a concert that features one particular artist that everyone come in and see, and a party like this, party like elro. And that's not about anyone. It's not about any single artist. It's not about the organizer. It's not about fun. It's everything. Everybody is all in on bringing that epic moment. In case of elro, when that confetti blows up and everybody go crazy, the heart rate increases. I mean, like everyone's on the same page. The fans, the DJs, the staff, everyone is in it. So I think it's great that they have been taking risk after risk after risk and are able to be successful. And I know that right now during pandemic they're having as hard time as anyone else in the industry, but I know they're going to survive because the product is real. The fans have fallen in love with it. And I wish the brand a lot of success, and we'll be working with them. And me and you will cover a lot of elro live, and you'll see yourself how it's different in every country in a way, but in the end of the day, it's all consistent, same show. Right. And this immersive experience is something that completely changes the way we understand clubbing or partying.
Yeah, I was going to say there's going to be nothing like that first elro experience, which I'm very much looking forward to. But something that spoke to me too was the story about his father just driving around and just being immersed. Yeah, it's like, when are you ever going to hear stories like that? Just to hear like the drive, the passion behind it, how they keep innovating. You can just tell that they're so invested in what they're doing. And I thought that was really, really amazing to hear. So I appreciated his time.
His parents are very special people. I mean, his father, I don't know any human who does not love his parents. His dad is just a different type of man. I mean, we all love him dearly. Funny story, his mom's name is Cruz. His dad's name is Juan. His name is Juan. His sister's name is Cruz. And his son's name is Juan. So it's a real legacy family, and it's a real family business. They're always together. I love them dearly. And we'll be partying somewhere soon.
Exactly. Yeah, it's amazing. But if you guys enjoyed this interview, if you're enjoying the podcast, you can connect with us at Festival Insider. We appreciate, rate, review, subscribe. We have the episodes up on YouTube if you want to watch them as well. And of course, we welcome your feedback, and we want to hear what you guys are thinking about the episodes.
And believe you me, we're doing this for you. So please tell us who you want us to bring to the show, because we want to inspire you. We want to others to share the knowledge, and we'll see you soon.
Thanks, guys. Bye.